Hey, what's going on, Red Dead Online? Blaketos84 here. We're going to be doing a review on the short game. We're going to read through it, pros, cons, how to stack it, and a little bit about this card. Here we go. The short game 3. You deal much more damage to targets closer to you, but less damage to targets farther away. A little bit of background on this card. For a long time, any type of close quarters showdown large map, this card was being used. You would definitely see it on tall trees, and as you're aware, when you do the showdown large, there's 2 tall tree maps, so you're going to be in tall trees a lot, and it's going to get old, but you know, that's how you level up, guys. Sometimes on the Saint Denis, you would see this card used a lot too. So here's the gist of it. The closer you are to the enemy, the more damage you do. The further away you are from them, the less damage you do. So in my opinion, this card is probably more geared towards your handguns, obviously, and your shotguns. So there's a ton of debates about how this card works. I've never been able to figure out the straight answer. I've been told, oh, well, you know, if you're using a sniper rifle, then it won't work. Then you'll do less damage. But, you know, if you're using your bolt, it'll still do damage from pretty far away. That seems far-fetched. To me, it seems like the concept of this card is to use it closer. So I couldn't imagine that you're going to do the same damage with a repeater with someone across the map from you versus doing more damage if you're shooting someone with a Schofield real close. But I don't know. I haven't seen it in writing anywhere. This still leaves it kind of vague. And up for debate. I've also been told that the first time you use this card, the first shot doesn't count. It takes seconds before it actually works. I don't know if that's true or not. The problem with a lot of that is if you're using a shotgun and you shoot someone in close quarters anyways, they're probably going to die regardless. One shot, maybe 2 shots if you're unlucky. So how do you even know what damage this is doing? And then if you're using something like a dual revolver set, like double Schofields or double Lamats or the Mausers, you're shooting so fast you don't know, you know, which is the killing shot, or you're probably not paying attention to the damage done unless you're doing a little trial and error setup, which I don't do. So I don't see this card in PvP as much as I used to. It used to be a staple of any tall trees map. Everybody would be using it because it does more damage closer. The downside with a specific card like this, if you're doing something like free roam, is this is a situational card. As you know, when you get in free roam fights, you could be in the middle of Blackwater or Saint Denis, and the next thing you know, you're out in the swamps or out on the prairies, just duking it out, fighting it out. So this card is best used for close distances. So if you can't guarantee you're going to be in a close distance, you probably don't want to use this card. So again, showdowns, smaller maps, closer distances, closer combat, absolutely a good card to use. I just don't see it in the landscape as much as I used to. You would always see this card, again, in tall trees. I've just not seen it as much, and that's because people are using other cards to affect their damage, like peak condition, and it also uses your stamina and stuff like that. So, if I were to use this card, these are the other cards I would play with. Let's go ahead and look at it. I would probably use Slow and Steady or Paint It Black. Paint It Black could be pretty helpful with this. Or if you're going to be in tighter maps, you could use Slippery Bastard so you could run up on people so you don't have to worry about that long distance thing. So let's go ahead, leave this with Slow and Steady. What else would I use this with? It's kind of crazy, but I'd probably say something like Peak Condition, because you're going to do additional damage on top of the more damage you're doing. Plus, you're not going to lose stamina. Or Strange Medicine, because you're going to re-heal anytime you do damage. Let's see, something like this. Maybe go with the Winning Streak. Oh, wow, this is kind of crazy. I haven't thought about this one in a long time, folks. So let's see. If you're going to do Slow and Steady with this card, I would run it probably like this. This would probably be the setup I go, because remember, you're regaining a lot of health whenever you inflict damage. So if you're using this card in close quarters, they're shooting you, you're shooting them, boom, boom, boom. You're going to regain a lot of that health. So you're doing more damage with this card. You're also doing more damage with peak condition. Or instead of peak condition, you could use winning streak. However, the reason I'm giving peak condition the edge is because you use less stamina when sprinting if you use this card. So it kind of has like a dual function, which kind of gives you the head. And obviously the strange medicine you're going to be getting in shootouts. So if you're not going to use this card, I would say go with the hat card. Never without one. Or maybe just go with this build here. You know, I'm pretty much a slow and steady player. Most of the time I use slow and steady. I don't use the other cards as much. It's situational if I do. So it'll be interesting with a summer update to see what they do with this card. If they bring this card back to relevance, because I feel like maybe they didn't really nerf it, but as they changed some of the cards with the spring updates, that this card kind of lost its traditional value to something like peak condition over here, you know, and then that allowed people to free this card up for other stuff. Again, I just don't see it being used as much, and pretty much if I start getting whooped on by somebody, the first thing I do is look at their cards and see, okay, this is their setup. How do I make my adjustments so I can be competitive? Okay, they're using painted black, I'm going to use this. They're using strange medicine, I'm using strange medicine. They're using this, I'm using that. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. Again, as you can see, I've gotten this up to tier 3, so it has had its place in my rotation, just hasn't really had one as of late, and that's okay. So let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. It should be a pop-up on the bottom right there. Leave me a like, leave me a dislike, comment. Let's have a discussion about this card and its impact on the game. How do you use it? I want to know. Until next time, guys, cheers.